My name is Dan Dorval, and I'm President and CEO of Dorval and Cherney Financial Advisors. I am an independent certified financial planner and author of my book, Financial Success for the Rest of Us, Reality Based Financial Planning for Mainstream America.
Hi, my name is Leah Woodley. I'm an associate financial advisor with Dorval and Cherney Financial Advisors. Our conversations discuss what it means to do quality of life planning in all areas of your life. And so we always talk about quality of life. And one thing I want to talk about today is saying yes versus saying no. I describe myself as a recovering people pleaser. I am someone who would tell people yes all the time if they ask something of me or ask me to do something. I think I viewed it as not wanting to hurt their feelings for saying no, not wanting to offend them by saying no. But what I've learned is that in doing so, one, they're not getting the best version of me because I may not really want to do it. I may not have the capacity to do it. And I think at the end of the day, I'm hurting them and hurting me as well. So I've been trying to get out of saying yes to everything, being more thoughtful about the things I say yes to, and just learning how to say no in a way that is respectful and not making them feel offended, but still setting that boundary like, I cannot do this at this time.
Well,
How are you?
it's it's an interesting conversation because I am not a recovering people person, as a people pleaser, excuse me, because I've always really focused so much on quality of life that it's my values and priorities and motivations that drive almost everything that I do. So if something comes up where, maybe somebody's taking advantage of me or something like that, and the inclination for a lot of people is just to say yes because you're essentially trying to avoid conflict or, other issues. I had no problem looking at that and saying no. We don't take on every client that comes to us. We don't feel like we have to. In fact, that's a big, like a maturity type of thing as far as in our business, where you feel like, okay, I don't need to do this. I get to choose to do this. And when you're intentional about that, it really is empowering to understand, I can choose to do these things. So I'm curious though, because I have trouble relating to what you're describing, and yet I know that there's a ton of viewers out there, especially, we help so many nurses. I know that a lot of nurses are people pleasers and they're going to help everybody before themselves. They're naturally caregivers, they're going to do that. But for you, was the people pleasing more like for everybody? Was it more for people that you cared about the most? Or, how did you view that whole process?
I think for me, it was people outside of the people that I care about the most. I think, I don't know if it's because the people that know me, who are the closest to me and know me the best, I think that they know my heart already. So they know me saying no is not me rejecting them. Me saying no is not me attempting to hurt them. So I think for me, it was always easier. Like if my husband wanted to do something I didn't want to do, I would say no, or my children. I think it was easier for me to communicate no to them. I think it's people externally who I may have a relationship with in some manner, but I think it was harder for me to tell those people no. I just, like I said earlier, I didn't want to offend them. I didn't want them to feel like I was rejecting them. I didn't want them to feel like it was personal. I didn't want it to be personal for them.
That makes a lot of sense.
And what you said about maturity, I think as I'm getting older, as I'm maturing, it is becoming easier for me to say no. because no is not personal for me. No is that I don't have the capacity to do what you're asking of me. No is that I'm not in the best form for me to do what you're asking of me. No is that I need a break. I need self-care for me. This is my form of self-care by saying no at this time.
Yeah, I think
And
being aware of that is so critically important. As you're talking, I think about the nurses we help, which, most of the people we help are women, and they view financial planning very different from men. Do you feel like this is more common? Like even just knowing the people you know, is it more common with women than it is with men?
hmm, that's really hard for me to say. I'm not sure. It probably is just like you said, we're nurturers by nature. We want to often. So I think it may be, but I can't say that definitively.
So like for me, I all of my decisions really come down to some form of value. It's when we talk about quality of life, it's, am I spending my time and energy and resources in a way that fits with what I'm trying to do, and historically I didn't have challenges with balance in my life because of that. So I would work and I would spend time with my family and I would do things that I enjoyed, and at the same time I slept and I would go for a walk, and I just was able to do all of those things, and it wasn't hard for me to find that balance because this whole yes no thing was all geared around, well, how does my day feel to me personally? So when I hear people, and certainly anybody on social media is going to see lots of people talk about this idea of, well, balance as one thing. So this whole yes no conversation has a lot to do with balance. Have you found that being a recovering people pleaser, are you finding it's easier to maintain balance in your life from that?
I definitely do. You said something about considering how your day feels. There are some times where I still don't do that until after the fact. And I'm just trying to learn to do that beforehand. If I add this to my plate, how is this going to feel? How is my day going to be? Because I'm very conscious, and we've talked about this in the past. I'm very conscious about making sure I spend time with my family. And so sometimes I may, want to do this church activity or do this Toastmasters activity or do these other activities, which I enjoy, but at what cost? So I think it's important for me to consider the cost up front, um, before I say yes and commit to something. Consider how, like you said, how my day would feel up front before I just give my yes.
And one of the things that I see too, and this is one of the advantages of financial planning, is the whole point of financial planning is to have consistently good quality of life over an entire lifetime. Have good quality of life today, good quality of life in the future. And I think for a lot of people, they get disjointed in that process, like either living all for today or living, almost all for the future or something like that. This whole yes no thing often fits into that because if you feel like you're secure enough today to be able to say, well, I don't have to do these things, I get to choose, that transition of feeling that way is so powerful for a lot of people that we help.
Yes, it definitely is. I often see some people that we help who may have family members that are dependent upon them and requesting money on a regular basis. And I think that's important to be able to set boundaries of yes and no there as well. Yes, you want to support your family, and if you're able to do so and it's not impacting your quality of life, then say yes. But if you know that that's going to create tension, it's going to create a burden on you, then it's okay to say no.
Yeah, I think that's awesome advice.
Well, thank you. This was such a great conversation. I hope for our viewers, if you are struggling with being a people pleaser or you're a recovering people pleaser like me, learn that it's okay to say no, be able to honor your quality of life and what's important to you, your values, priorities, motivations, and goals, and just be conscious of that. Until next time,
Thanks,
have a
Leah.
good one.